Hello and welcome. I am DEJI360. The political crisis in Rivers State has now reached what you may want to call a denouement, at least for the legal side of things. Now, the country's Supreme Court has affirmed the Rivers State House of Assembly led by Martin Amaewhule as the authentic and legally constituted lawmaking body in the state. A five-member panel of justices of the Apex Court led by Justice Uwani Abba Aji gave the order in a unanimous judgment read by Justice Emmanuel Agim. The court also restrains the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Accountant General of the Federation from further releasing budgetary allocations to Rivers State until a valid appropriation act, in this case the budget, is passed by a lawfully constituted House of Assembly. In the unanimous judgment on Friday, the panel ordered that Mr. Amaewhule and other 26 members of the Assembly who were alleged to have defected should be allowed to resume legislative duties unhindered. The Supreme Court further ordered that all members of the House of Assembly are to resume normal legislative businesses now without any hindrance to any member. Justice Agim condemned the conduct of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who he said resorted to acting unlawfully by pulling down the House of Assembly owing to his fear that there were moves to remove him from office. The Supreme Court set aside the earlier judgment of the Court of Appeal in which the appellate court held that the Federal High Court lacked jurisdiction on cases relating to funds belonging to Rivers State. The panel equally awarded a cost of 5 million naira against Mr. Fubara and the government of Rivers State to be paid to the Rivers State House of Assembly and to Mr. Amaewhule. Joining me now to shed more light on this is Libros Oshoma, who's a legal practitioner and a political affairs analyst. Libros, thank you very much for coming on the program. Oh, I also have Jide Ojo as well joining us from Abuja. He is also a political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Libros, very quickly now, what exactly, help us understand this latest judgment by the Supreme Court?
Yeah, there's nothing to understand.
No ambiguity.
No ambiguity in the judgment. The only thing is that this judgment this is not a suit that was challenging the membership or defection of the 27 lawmakers. And so what the Supreme Court has simply done is to reiterate, even though not saying it, the position I have canvassed consistently that Section 109 is not self-executory, and that it is the court that will declare that a member seat is vacant before you would say that that seat had been declared vacant. That's why the penalties for defection, Section 109, subsection 1, paragraph G, why the penalty for defection is you losing your seat, it is the court, even though subsection 2 says that the speaker shall give effect, but the court had consistently maintained that it is the court that can give effect to that section. It is the court that can pronounce a penalty for an offense or an act in our constitution. And that's basically why the Supreme Court today had recognized the fact that those 27 lawmakers are still lawmakers, and that excluding them from the business of making law without a valid court order declaring them to not be lawmakers, is a joke, like the Court of Appeal previously said. It's a joke taken too far. It is akin to pulling down the institutions of democracy, and it is amount to executive rascality. That's basically what the court has said. And until the provisions of the law is complied with, by provisions of the law, what it means is a situation where the House of Assembly, the executive requires the concurrence or the approval of this House of Assembly to carry out an act. Failure to so do, by not recognizing the full complement of the House of Assembly, is fatal to that decision by the executive governor. And that's basically what the court has said. And that the preemptive move that, oh, look, there might be fear that or that the House wants to impeach, and then you now go to pull down the House, that it cannot be substantiated, under any law. So there are procedures for impeaching a governor.
So the way it is now, Rivers State going forward will not be receiving its federal allocation until it complies with this judgment. Until, of course, look, the Appropriation Act is represented through the full complement of the House now led by Martin Ameule.
Unfortunately, that's so, but at the end of the day, it is the Rivers people that will suffer. And, you know, because we always have this tendency of supporting the man who we feel is down. And so people have consistently blindly supported the actions of the governor, rightly or wrongly, despite, you know, clear warnings that, look, these actions do not have any backing constitutionally. But unfortunately, it is the people that will suffer in the absence of allocation to the government. And maybe, and the state government might further tax them if the absence of allocation, because if the governor is headstrong and insists that he will not recognize them, that means, you know, that means there would be a state without a House of Assembly, like it has been. It's quite unfortunate because the last time I was here on this same seat, I did say that some senior lawyers had consistently stand the law on its head by insisting that that's provision is self-executory. And the Supreme Court has reiterated today that it is not self-executory. By implication, I will now want to hear the interpretation they will give the Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, Jide, let me bring you in here. What do you expect to see going forward? Because, you know, look, there have been several court judgments in the past that the state government and the state governor in Rivers State refused to obey. This is a definitive pronouncement now from the Supreme Court. What do you expect going forward?
Okay, thanks for having me. My own take is that from what I've gathered, it's only the local government allocation that the Supreme Court said should not be released. So there will still be resources available to the state government to run its own affairs. And what I expected is that after Supreme Court, you can't appeal anywhere. Similarly, Fubara will have to eat the humble pie and work with the Amewule-led leadership of the State House of Assembly until such a time that the suits about the validity of their membership having defected is heard by the Supreme Court and decided one way or the other.
Yeah.
Now, the 2024 budget, which was the basis upon which this suit was initially premised, that budget has lapsed, and the 2025 budget is already operational. What I think will now happen is that similarly, Sim Fubara will have to represent the 2025 budget to the Amewule-led National State Assembly. That's one. Number two, that there will be another round of election into the 23 councils of Rivers State. Failure to do these two will be an affront and a contempt on the Supreme Court decision. But I don't think it has to, from what I've read, the CBN is to withhold the funds meant for local government because the local government election of October 5, 2024 was not conducted in validity with the relevant section of the Electoral Act and the Rivers State Electoral Law. So those are my own observations. If there are any other, I would like to be educated on that.
Well,
but it has to
what's your take on that? Was this just was this judgment just on local government allocation now to Rivers State? Because I would think this case came up at the Court of Appeal. I mean, from the Federal High Court to the Court of Appeal and then to the Supreme Court. Was this strictly about local government funds?
There are two cases here. One is the local government, the issue of election conducted, into the local governments. That's the the case that talks about allocation to local government. There also another case on the you remember the last time there was a case was withdrawn on the presentation of the budget. There's also another matter. There are two matters that were consolidated, if you remember. And so the one on the elections into the local government, the Supreme Court also held that elections into the local government were not validly conducted in compliance, a clear violation of the relevant sections of the Electoral Act, one on notices and then updating of register for claim and objections. And you remember the Federal High Court, Justice Lifu or so, had earlier granted an order restraining
Because
INEC.
from what I know, this is not just about local
Then
government
also
funds.
the other issue was on the issue of the 27 lawmakers on the presentation of not just the presentation of the budget, but on the actions of the governor in excluding the 27 lawmakers from the business of
Maybe I should just
State,
let me just
government.
read. Sorry to cut you there. Let me just read what what was read at the Supreme Court in the delivery of this judgment. It said, "It is hereby ordered that the CBN and Accountant General of the Federation should immediately cease releasing all funds, monies, revenue accruing to the Rivers State government, pending the presentation and approval of a legitimate budget by Rivers State House of Assembly led by Martin Amewule." That is
the second suit that I was telling you about. And so there are two suits here. You know, the first one was the one they said that the 2024 budget had lapsed and the money had been spent, and that so it will be an academic exercise, it will be an exercise in futility to continue the matter. The best thing for Governor Fubara to do now is to eat the humble pie, look for a political solution to all of these things. It's a give and take thing for the interest of the state, because at the end of the day, it is his tenure that people are going to remember, not who was at the House of Assembly, you know, during his time as governor. It is him that people will remember and how people felt during his tenure.
And let me say, Jide, just listen to this. This part of the ruling now. Justice Emmanuel Agim, who read the judgment, he held that the 27 lawmakers alleged to have defected from the PDP to the APC are still valid members of the Rivers Assembly, pending the final determination of the suit challenging their status. Just as you said, Liberos, that provision is not self-executory. He went on to say the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly who allegedly defected are still legitimate members of the House of Assembly and have the power to conduct the business of the Assembly. Any other set of individuals purporting to be members of the Rivers State House of Assembly led by any other person except Martins Amewule is a nullity, and their actions are null and void. It's an act of indiscipline that's going on now. He said by encouraging 4 out of the 32 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly to continue to operate, the governor was operating using only 12.5% of the State Assembly, which is illegal. It is an act of indiscipline bordering on excessive use of power and a joke taken too far, which has no place in democracy. Jide, let me get your take on that.
There is nothing to react to beyond the fact that their lordship has made a very pointed remark, which is also a concern I've raised over the last 2 years that this has lasted. That how can 4 members be claiming to be representing the institution of 32. We know the charade of 2024 budget, where the governor presented the budget in the morning, and in the afternoon, the same budget of 800 billion was returned to him for signature. That means there was no legislative work on it, no defense by any of the ministries, departments, and agencies. It's just the same way the governor brought the 800 billion naira budget that it was returned to him. In the 2025 budget, it was over 1 trillion. The same thing happened now under Uche Jumbo. The former speaker on his faction was made his chief of staff. That is, what is his name now?
Edison
I've
here.
forgotten his name. Edison. Honorable Edison was resigned his position and made the chief of staff. And that means 2 people have died. 1 person have died. Edison has resigned. So there's 30 members validly a member of the Rivers State House of Assembly as we speak. Now, only 27 of them are with Amewule, and 26 others are with the pro-Wike one. The long and short of it is that if Governor Sim Fubara genuinely loves the people of Rivers State, he should seek elders of the state to mediate an out-of-court settlement, because he has lost in court from beginning to the end now. And 2027 election beckons. By this time next year, INEC will have blown the whistle for 2027. Notice of election will have been issued, and the race will be about who will be the governor of every state and who will be the next president. So Governor Fubara has only this year to effectively govern before politics of 2027 will kick in next year. And like my brother Liberal said, it is him that posterity will remember. We don't want to know who is the speaker, who is not the speaker, who is the majority leader, who is the minority leader. They are very inconsequential to the ordinary citizens of every state. But who is the governor when this happens is more important. We know what happened in Edo State.
All right.
The fallout of what happened in Edo State was what led to what we saw in the election of September last year, when the foot soldiers that worked for Governor Obaseki deserted him, and eventually his successor that he preferred could not win the election. So what I will advise Governor Sim Fubara is that he should not listen to anyone that wants to urge him on to disobey the Supreme Court decision on this matter. He should seek for soft landing of the sort. Let there be a mediation and out-of-court settlement. Restore the resources that have been denied the 27 member of Amewule's faction. Work with them and do a first mandate. After all, in politics, there is no permanent enmity or friendship. Only interest is permanent.
Exactly.
And we have seen
exactly.
that all the time in our
unfortunately,
national life.
we haven't got much time. But Liberals, let me just give you the opportunity to say the final word on this. I mean, look, the Supreme Court has given this judgment, and whether we like it or not, this crisis has to end. The crisis has to end. Yeah. So if you were talking to Governor Fubara now, what would you be saying to him?
Yeah, I would take it from where Jide stopped to say, look, it is you that posterity beckons on. Will you be few inches taller, or you would want to diminish yourself by consistently fighting? Appeal from Supreme Court can only be to God. And so the Supreme Court has spoken loudly. And if you feel that these people have defected and they are no more members of the State House of Assembly, then you need to pursue the matter of their defection at the Federal High Court. And until that is achieved, there is need to recognize them. This charade where 3 members sit down in the comfort of their sitting room and legislate, if we allow it to continue, like I said last time, someday one member will just come and say he's the speaker and he's the member and he wants to approve budget. After all, with what is happening in Rivers State, look at the charade that we're also seeing playing out in Lagos State, where a speaker would come, a speaker who has been removed by members, by his colleague, will come and say he wants to sit over an assembly of 40 members with just 4 members. Because we allow, if Obaseki had 9, now we reduced it to 4 and then 3 in Rivers. Lagos is taking his own to 4. Maybe tomorrow it might only be only Obasa, and then he would say he's the speaker and member, and he's lording it over everybody. So I think this is the time for Simfubara. After all, this same Wike fought tooth and nail to make sure that he becomes governor. People that are with him today, some of them, if they had
most
given
of them
them
kicked against him.
some of them, if they had given them opportunity to pick a successor, they wouldn't have chosen him. So he should rise above all of this sentiment. And then the Amehule-led faction also should also not see this as a personal battle. He should see it as an opportunity of strengthening democracy and then work together for the betterment of their state, because posterity beckons on all of them.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us on this issue. Thanks a lot for your time. I will take a short break now and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.